In my previous life, 3 of my college roommates, Brandon, Colin, and Trevor, introduced me to the campus beauty, Vivian. One summer was all it took for her to set my blood on fire. By the time classes started again, I couldn't wait to ask her out. Over a single meal, she bled me for $188,000. From then on, it was as if I'd been possessed. The money I spent on her kept piling up, more and more each week. Until one day, I stumbled across a conversation that cracked my world wide open. "Vivian, you're something else, milking that idiot Ethan for so much." "You know the drill, 50-50 split," Brandon said casually. Colin snorted. "This guy's almost tapped out. Tonight, just make up some excuse to dump him, and put your energy into a few of the other rich, good-looking guys." The words hit me like a lightning strike. The goddess I'd cherished turned out to be nothing more than a gold digger. Blinded by rage, I kicked the door open and lunged at the 3 of them. We brawled, and in the chaos they shoved me off the 8th-floor balcony. My body shattered on the pavement below. Later, the 4 of them, Vivian included, aligned their story, claiming I'd been devastated by a breakup and jumped to my death. It became a campus-wide joke. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the first day of the semester. "Ethan, I hear you and the gorgeous Vivian are hitting it off pretty fast. Already going on a date this early in the year? Don't forget who set you up. We went all out to introduce you to her. You're not skipping us on that first dinner, right? I know a restaurant with top-notch food, why don't we book it for tonight?" Brandon suggested, slinging an arm over my shoulder. Looking at the 3 of them, all warmth and camaraderie, I smiled and nodded. "Sure. Whatever you guys say." The moment I agreed, they exchanged a glance and a smile. In my last life, I thought those smiles were nothing but friendly. Now I could see the truth, there was triumph in them, the kind you wear when a trap's already sprung. Because the place they'd recommended was owned by Brandon's parents, a scam joint designed to fleece suckers like me. "Ethan, you're a real sport," one of them said. "It's getting late. We'll head over and reserve a table. I'll send you the location, just come straight there," Brandon added. I watched the 3 of them leave, then immediately called in a professional to install pinhole cameras in a few inconspicuous corners of our dorm room. 2 hours later, I arrived at the restaurant. The moment I stepped into the private room, Colin laid into me. "Ethan, what took you so long? Vivian's been waiting a full half hour." I glanced toward the head of the table, where she sat. For a moment, my mind went hazy. It was hard to reconcile that under such a pure, sweet face lurked nothing but rot. This was our first meal together, and she still believed I was hopelessly taken with her. She brushed a strand of hair from her forehead and gave what she must have thought was a soft, alluring smile. "It's not as bad as they make it sound. I've only been here a few minutes," she said lightly. "Oh, already defending him? Ethan, you're one lucky guy," Trevor teased. "Lucky?" I almost laughed. Instead, I accepted the menu from the waiter and passed it to Vivian. "Vivian, why don't you order?" Trevor shot her a knowing look. "Yeah, Vivian, don't hold back. Ethan's one of the wealthiest guys on campus, bleed him dry." "All right." Her eyes curved like crescent moons as she smiled, tilting her head just enough to look adorably considerate. "Do you have anything in particular you want?" I shook my head. "Anything's fine." 2 servings of beluga caviar to start, she began without missing a beat. 2 Japanese A5 Wagyu ribeyes. For wine, let's have 2 bottles of Romani Conti. For fruit, 1 platter of the finest Shine Muscat grapes from Japan. Oh, and dessert, Valrhona chocolate lava cake. That's the one. She closed the menu with a graceful snap and turned that sweet smile on me again. "Darling, is that all right?" In my last life, that single "darling" had me nodding like a fool, utterly smitten. This time, My hand slipped into my pocket, fingers brushing the recorder that had been running the entire evening. I gave her a cool nod. Sure. As long as you like it. The dishes came out quickly, but in a tourist trap black shop planted in the middle of Manhattan, there was no chance they'd be serving what she'd actually ordered. The beluga caviar, supposedly worth thousands of dollars per ounce, tasted no different from the cheap jars you'd find in a discount supermarket. The so-called A5 Wagyu, once cut, revealed coarse fibers, nothing more than ordinary USDA choice steak. The Romani Conti, allegedly worth 50 grand a bottle, had crooked labels and a clumsily finished cork, obvious fakes at a glance. The top-grade, Shine Muscat grapes were swapped out for 99 cents a pound grocery store grapes, several already split open. And the Valrhona chocolate lava cake arrived as a massive plate of what looked like reheated Costco freezer desserts. Claiming I wasn't feeling well, I didn't take a single bite, only snapping a few discreet photos when they weren't looking. My three so-called friends and Vivian, for all their earlier enthusiasm, didn't seem particularly interested in this luxury spread either. Half an hour later, it was time to settle the bill. Like clockwork, the four of them took turns slipping off to the restroom to floss their teeth, leaving me alone as the waiter dropped a bill nearly a yard long in front of me. Total, $1.88 million. Sir, your total for tonight is $1.88 million. Before he could finish, I slid the bill across the table toward Vivian. Vivian, you told me just yesterday that dinner tonight would be on you. Since I didn't touch the food, wine, or fruit, it only makes sense, both sentimentally and logically, that you pick up the tab, right? Silence. The room went so still you could hear a pin drop. Vivian opened her mouth a few times but closed it again, words dying in her throat. My three dear roommates just stared, wide-eyed and slack-jawed, as if they'd just watched the script catch fire in their hands. In the end, it was the waiter who broke the silence, his tone dripping with disdain. For grown men, and you're making a young lady pick up the tab? If you can't afford it, don't play the rich boy act to impress a girl. You've got to be kidding me, he scoffed. Colin jumped in, agitated. I told you before, Vivian's been working part-time jobs just to get by, how could she possibly have that kind of money? You. I raised a hand to cut him off, my gaze settling on Vivian, whose eyes were rimmed red as if she might cry any second. No money? That's fine, I said evenly. As her boyfriend, I can always lend it to her. I slipped a card from my wallet as I spoke. Right, Vivian? Right, she said automatically, forcing a coy, almost playful smile that didn't reach her eyes. Darling, you're the best. Think nothing of it. With her agreement hanging in the air, I swiped the card without hesitation. Only then did Brandon, Trevor, and Colin relax, launching into their praises. Ethan, you're the man. Dropping nearly $2 million like it's nothing, that's real class. I knew exactly what they were thinking. Out loud, they were lifting me onto a pedestal, in their minds, they were laughing at the fool who'd just taken the bait. That was fine. I'd been perfectly clear just now, this was a loan. And I had the recording to prove it. One way or another, with interest, it would all come back to me. After walking Vivian back to her dorm, I claimed a stomachache and said I'd head home for some medicine, skipping the overnight stay. The pinhole cameras were already in place, naturally, I needed to give my three roommates the space to plot behind my back. And, sure enough, the moment I got home and opened the surveillance feed, I caught them doubled over with laughter. Confirmed, Ethan's just a dumbass blinded by a pretty face. 1.88 million, swiped without blinking, and he's calling it a loan to Vivian? I'm dying over here. At first I thought he was just trying to make Vivian feel touched so he could seal the deal tonight. Turns out he had no intention of taking her to a hotel, just sent her back to the dorm like some gentleman. Can't breathe, I'm laughing so hard. Gentlemen are the easiest marks, nothing's easier to swindle than their money. Call Vivian now, tell her to really put in the work. Daily allowance, shopping trips, luxury bags, the whole 9 yards. Moments later, they had Vivian on the phone, their voices buzzing with energy as they dove straight into plotting the next phase. What truly stunned me was realizing I was just one fool among many. By the time they wrapped up their scheming, it was already past midnight. Running the numbers, I figured out Vivian wasn't just stringing me along, she had 9 other men on the line at the same time. Her roster included everything from rich kid undergrads to corporate elites to small business owners riding a modest wave of success. Time management master didn't even begin to cover it, she'd perfected the craft. The next morning, before I'd even gotten out of bed, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. I grabbed it, every single message was from Vivian. "Darling, one of my roommates was just bragging that her boyfriend gives her 50 grand a month for spending money. You should have seen her smug little face, it was infuriating. He also buys her designer clothes and handbags every few weeks, they're gorgeous. She's jealous I'm the campus queen, so she mocked me, saying I could never afford what she has. I really want to shut her up. What should I do?" I read her messages and let out a cold chuckle. In my previous life, she'd pulled this same stunt. To make her happy, I'd instantly wired her obscene amounts of money and showered her with gifts. Now, I just wanted to slap my past self for being so hopelessly duped by a gold digger, dancing to her tune like a complete idiot. After a moment's thought, I replied, "So, Vivian, are you short on cash? Don't worry, I can lend you some. After all, I'm your boyfriend." She immediately fired back a barrage of question marks, demanding to know what I meant. Her subtext was practically screaming, "I'm trying to prod you into transferring me money and taking me shopping, why are you talking about a loan? Are you out of your mind?" I typed back, exactly what it sounds like. "If you need money, I can lend you 100,000. If that's not enough, I can lend more. If you don't need it, then forget it." The moment she saw the figure, 100,000, her breath must have hitched. I could practically picture her eyes going red. "I need it. I need it. Darling, just lend me 100,000, okay? I promise I'll pay you back with interest." Click. I smiled as I took a screenshot of the entire conversation, then wired her the 100,000 without hesitation. Meanwhile, the feed from the cameras I'd planted in our dorm crackled to life with Vivian's jubilant voice. "Gentlemen, your roommate is the dumbest man alive. All I did was pull a tiny trick, and the idiot wired me 100 grand in pocket money. And just like yesterday, he's calling it a loan." Colin let out a derisive laugh. "Once money's in our hands, there's no reason in hell it's ever going back. Come on, split it 50-50. Vivian was quick to oblige. She transferred $60,000 to Colin, tossing in an extra $10,000 so the three of them, Colin, Brandon, and Trevor, could each pocket an even $20,000. I watched their little profit-sharing party play out on screen, my gaze as cold and bottomless as a winter lake, reflecting nothing but ice. Moments later, my phone began to buzz again. Vivian, still riding the high of her earnings, with the 3 backstabbers in my dorm, was now messaging me. "Darling, are you free tonight? I want to go shopping, will you come with me?" I knew exactly what this was, another round at the trough. I sent back a simple okay. Let her think she'd won again. Bleed me dry, Vivian. The deeper you cut now, the harder it'll hurt when I take it all back, with interest. That evening, I slipped a recording device into my pocket and went to meet her, just as she'd asked. Together, we headed to the most high-end mall in town, a place thick with the scent of money and lined wall-to-wall with luxury brands. The moment we stepped into an LV boutique, Vivian made a beeline for a limited edition handbag priced north of 50 grand. "Darling, this bag is gorgeous. It suits me perfectly. Why don't you buy it for me? Please." She barely finished the sentence when a hesitant voice spoke up from behind her. "Vivian, I'm sorry, but we don't have that bag in stock right now. The voice hit me like a jolt of static, familiar in a way that pulled at something deep. I turned, and there she was, the girl who, in my previous life, was the one person I owed more than I could ever repay. Vivian's roommate, Lila. Like Vivian, she came from a poor family, working part-time every evening at the LV boutique to help pay her way through school. Vivian arched a brow, her tone dripping with disdain. What do you mean there's no stock? Isn't that one right there in the display case? Lila, are you saying that because you think I can't afford it? It's not that, Lila stammered, shaking her head so quickly her lips turned pale. It's just, the one in the case is a sample. It's not for sale. Before she could say more, the store manager appeared, his face already dark with disapproval. He shot Lila a cold glare before turning to Vivian with a polished smile. Excellent taste, miss. We actually have 2 in stock, one in black, one in white. Which would you prefer? Vivian's expression soured instantly. What's that supposed to mean? She snapped. You're lying to my face because you think I can't pay. Lila faltered, fumbling with the hem of her uniform. Then, as if summoning courage from somewhere deep, she glanced up at me. Her voice was low but steady. Vivian, you already have a boyfriend who treats you well. He just bought you a Chanel bag the other day. Asking other guys to buy you something this expensive, it's not right. The words made my chest tighten. In my last life, Lila had said something similar, fabricated a harmless lie just to protect me from losing more. But I'd been blind. I'd seen her warning as malicious slander against my precious girlfriend. I'd slapped her across the face in front of everyone and demanded the manager fire her. Now, seeing her again, small, pale, and trying to shield me with that pitiful courage, made my heart ache. You're full of it. Vivian, snapping out of her momentary shock, lashed out like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, raising her hand to strike Lila. I caught her wrist before it landed. Vivian puffed out her cheeks in indignation. Darling, why are you stopping me? She's my roommate. She's obviously jealous that I have such an amazing boyfriend, so she's spreading lies to make me look bad. You don't believe her, do you? Of course not. I smiled, forcing myself to brush her nose playfully instead of recoiling. She's just a clown. If you take her seriously, it'll ruin our shopping mood. As for that bag, I think both the black and the white would look great on you. Why not take them both? Vivian's irritation evaporated instantly, her eyes lighting up like a child's at Christmas. Yes, let's do that. The store manager perked right up and hurried someone over with the 2 bags. Vivian's eyes locked on me, expectant and sparkling. I chuckled. Why are you looking at me? She's the one buying, not me. The manager froze mid-step, clearly caught off guard. Vivian, used to my so-called playful teasing, just flashed me a sultry smile. Darling, you're so bad, playing that game again. She clung to my arm, rocking it gently, her voice syrupy sweet. These 2 bags together are almost 110,000. I don't have enough. Will you lend me the rest? My lips curved upward. I nodded. All right. After swiping my card, I waited until the manager was busy explaining to Vivian how to care for her new bags. Quietly, I slipped my phone out and added Lila's contact information. We strolled through the mall for a bit longer until Vivian's gaze caught on a Cartier diamond ring in one of the displays. When she learned it was a limited edition, with stock so tight it wouldn't arrive until the day after tomorrow, she grabbed my hand, her eyes alight. Darling, that's perfect, it's the day of the opening ceremony. If you use this ring to declare your love in front of the entire school, just imagine how explosive that would be. Sure, I said with an easy smile. This time, I didn't prod her into framing it as a loan. I simply swiped my card and told the manager to have it delivered to the campus on the big day. Vivian was beaming so wide the corners of her mouth might have split, and I smiled right along with her. Because truth be told, I was looking forward to that explosive scene just as much as she was. The next morning, the moment I stepped into class, my 3 roommates closed in on me, each eager to flaunt their newest toys. "Ethan, check out my brand new top-of-the-line gaming console," Brandon bragged. "Pfft, that's nothing," Trevor scoffed. "Look at this watch I just bought, it could trade for a dozen of his consoles." "You two move aside," Colin said grandly, shoving them away to dangle a set of car keys in my face. "Now this is something." A cold glint flickered in my eyes. I didn't need to ask, they'd clearly spent the dividends from Vivian's last haul on these shiny trophies. Still, I played dumb. "Funny, I haven't heard about you 3 cozying up to any rich sugar mamas lately. Where'd you get the money for this stuff?" Their smiles faltered, pride dimming a little. Colin recovered first, slinging an arm over my shoulder with a laugh. "Ethan, you've got it wrong. You're not the only rich kid in the dorm, our families aren't exactly struggling, you know." Yeah, Brandon jumped in quickly. "Our parents gave us the money." One of my brows arched, and I hid a smirk. 3 extra sons I never knew I had, and even if they wanted to call me dad, it wouldn't save them. The debts of blood from my last life? They'd pay them back in full. "Let me tell you a little secret," Colin said suddenly, leaning in close with a conspiratorial grin. "This morning on our way to class, we spotted Vivian downstairs at the convenience store. She was wearing a mask, trying not to be recognized. Guess what she was buying?" I tilted my head, feigning curiosity. "What?" "Condoms," he announced, smirking. "I'm telling you, she's ready to give herself to you. But, you know how girls are, taking that step doesn't come easy. You need to strike while the iron's hot and push harder." "Colin's absolutely right," Trevor added, eyes gleaming. "Ethan, trust me, these next couple of days, your money offensive has to be stronger than ever. Bags, watches, maybe even a luxury car, throw as much at her as you can. Hell, transfer a condo into her name for your future marital home. Only then will Vivian love you without holding back." I let out a silent, mirthless laugh. So this was their grand plan, to drain me in one final, glorious squeeze. And in my last life, I'd actually been fool enough to follow their advice to the letter, gazing at Vivian with all the sincerity I could muster and telling her I'd give her everything. In the end, I'd given her my life. When I didn't answer, too busy tapping at my phone, Brandon frowned. "Ethan, we're giving you pointers here, are you even listening? What could possibly be more important right now than getting Vivian into bed?" "Got it," I replied offhandedly, waving my phone at them. "I'm in the middle of a hot and heavy chat with Vivian. You guys go, cool off somewhere else." "Good luck, Ethan, we're rooting for you," Trevor grinned. "Bagging the campus queen?" "That's bragging rights for life," Colin added. I didn't bother responding, my attention already back on the conversation, but not with Vivian. It was Lila, the contact I'd quietly added yesterday. "About yesterday. I'm sorry. I know you meant well. To make it up to you, I've prepared a surprise for you at tomorrow's opening ceremony. Please, don't turn me down. Getting rejected in front of the whole school would be pretty embarrassing." On her end, Lila was staring at her phone, baffled and unsure how to respond, when Vivian appeared before her, radiating smugness. "I'm warning you, stay out of my business," Vivian sneered. "Tomorrow, at the opening ceremony, Ethan's going to declare his love to me in front of everyone. You have any idea how much that diamond ring cost? $180,000. Cutting off someone's source of income is like killing their parents. Try to mess this up for me again, and I won't hesitate to drop the classmate courtesy." She leaned closer, her breath hot against Lila's ear. "That idiot Ethan is already wrapped so tightly around my finger he can't breathe. He won't believe a single word you say. But if I whisper the right things in his ear? He'd gladly slap you until your mouth swells shut. Believe me? Lila's face went pale, then flushed with anger. Oh, mad now? Vivian taunted. So you really do have a thing for Ethan? No problem. Once I've drained that moron dry, if you still want him, I'll let you have him. You. Lila's voice shook with fury. He treats you so well, and all you do is plot against him. Doesn't your conscience hurt? Conscience? Vivian's laugh was sharp and ugly. That's hilarious. I don't need you teaching me how to live my life. Then, without warning, she swung her hand and slapped Lila hard across the face. The other girls in the dorm quickly joined in, hurling their own barbed comments at Lila. Pining after someone else's boyfriend and still talking about conscience? Pathetic. A rich second-gen like Ethan? Only our Vivian is worthy of him. Compared to her, you're just an ugly duckling, quit daydreaming. Lila's small fists clenched tight, her eyes rimmed red. Tears slid slowly down her cheeks, but there wasn't a drop of sympathy to be found, only sharper ridicule, piling higher and higher. By that evening, word had already spread like wildfire across the campus forum. Tomorrow, at the opening ceremony, I would be making a grand declaration of love to Vivian with a $200,000 diamond ring. And Lila's name was tangled up in the gossip, painted as the jealous, social-climbing interloper trying to break us apart. Insults came at her like a storm, fast, relentless, and overwhelming. It only took one night for her reputation to be dragged through the mud. And of course, the hand guiding all of it belonged to Vivian. Staring at the screen full of venom directed at Lila, my jaw tightened, my vision darkening. Afraid she might be too humiliated to show her face at the ceremony, I sent her 2 more messages. I'm truly sorry you've had to shoulder all this because of me. But please, no matter what, come to the opening ceremony tomorrow. Trust me, I will clear your name in front of everyone. I waited over an hour. No reply came. The next afternoon, at 3 o'clock, I arrived at the sports field and found Vivian already waiting at the gate. She had dressed for the part, a white, princess-cut gown, a delicate little crown perched on her head. Behind her, a crowd of thousands, students and faculty alike, stood like adoring courtiers before their queen. When she saw me, she put on a show of modesty, smiling shyly without speaking, waiting for me to step forward, kneel, and present the ring. But my eyes never landed on her. They sought out only one figure, Lila, standing off in a barely noticeable corner, her hair pulled back tight, her posture small and uneasy. Next to Vivian's stage-managed splendor, she truly looked like Cinderella at the edge of the ball. Ethan, what are you waiting for? Take out the big diamond already. Vivian's been waiting forever, get moving. My 3 roommates' voices echoed in my ears as I reached into my pocket, pulled out the velvet ring box, and walked right past Vivian without so much as a glance. Vivian froze, caught off guard, and before she could react, a wave of shocked murmurs rippled through the crowd as I stopped in front of Lila. Dropping to one knee, I opened the box and held it out slowly. Inside, the diamond, big as a dove's egg, blazed under the afternoon sun, casting shards of light. Lila, I said, my voice steady, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? I want to love you for the rest of my life. Lila's head snapped up, her wide eyes locking on mine, her entire body going still as if turned to stone. Around us, the field was filled with stunned faces. Students, teachers, everyone looked lost, as though their collective script had just been shredded. Wasn't this supposed to be a grand confession to the campus queen, Vivian? So why had the heroine changed? Ethan. Vivian's voice cracked as she shouted, fury twisting her features. That's not funny, not even a little. I turned my head toward her, my tone cool and sharp. Are your eyes failing you? Can't you see I'm being serious? Yes, on looks, on figure, Lila can't compete with you, the so-called campus beauty. But to me, she's 100 times more beautiful. I tapped my chest. Right here. In my previous life, Lila had done far more than just try to save me at the LV store. She had sought me out again and again, warning me Vivian wasn't what she seemed, that she was stringing along other men besides me. I never believed her. In fact, every time, I'd lashed out, humiliating her in return. It wasn't until I uncovered the conspiracy between my 3 roommates and Vivian that regret set in, but by then, it was far too late. After my death, the whole school swallowed Colin's version of events, that I'd killed myself over a breakup, mocking me as a pitiful fool. Only Lila spoke for me. She ignored the threats from Colin and Vivian and went to the police to report the truth. Vivian, furious, retaliated by hiring someone to throw acid at her face, destroying her beauty. Even then, Lila never gave up. She kept fighting my case, appealing for justice. I never understood why she went to such lengths for me. But devotion like that is worth an entire lifetime in return. Lila, I asked softly, will you allow me to put this ring on your finger? When she saw I meant every word, her breath caught. Her body trembled, emotion breaking through her composure. After a moment's hesitation, she slowly extended her hand toward me. Sliding the diamond ring onto Lila's finger, I caught the way Vivian's face darkened, her skin tinged an ugly shade of green. Ethan, she snapped. Are you out of your mind? What does she have that I don't? How could you choose her over me? I met her glare with one of pure contempt. Compared to you, Lila is the very embodiment of kindness and beauty. As for you, don't you know exactly what filth you've done? Vivian's bravado faltered, her eyes flickered with guilt. That was all the opening my 3 so-called brothers needed to jump to her defense. Ethan, we're your friends, but this time we're standing with Vivian. Yeah, the whole school knows you've been with her, and now you're not only ditching her, you're humiliating her in public. How's she supposed to face anyone after this? You're shameless. Disgusting. Their words lit the crowd like a match to dry tinder. Murmurs turned to outrage, all eyes filled with judgment. Figures, rich guys are all the same. The speed at which they toss someone aside is unbelievable. And honestly, look at your taste, Lila's plain as paper. How can she compare to Vivian? Guess we just can't understand the world of the wealthy. The noise swelled until, finally, the school leadership stepped forward, their expressions thunderous. Ethan, the dean said coldly, you've toyed with someone's affections, abandoned them, and disgraced yourself. Given the severe damage this has done to the school's image, we've decided to expel you. At that, Lila stiffened, ready to speak in my defense, but I lifted a hand to stop her, giving her a calm, reassuring look. To abandon and disgrace? I said slowly. Where exactly is that coming from? In Vivian's eyes, I was nothing more than a walking wallet. From beginning to end, I was never her boyfriend. Bullshit, if you weren't, then who was? Colin barked. I turned, pointing straight at him. You were. In fact, I swept my finger toward Brandon and Trevor, all 3 of you were her boyfriends. The moment the words left my mouth, the crowd erupted. Ha! As if dumping Vivian wasn't bad enough, now you're making up some outrageous lie to smear her? That's a whole new level of disgusting. Only Vivian and my 3 roommates didn't join the outcry. Their faces tightened, brows knitting in unison. I caught every flicker of unease on those 4 faces. Taking a step forward, I raised my voice. Everyone, hold your fire. I know what I've said sounds insane, but it's the truth. So I'll skip the speeches and go straight to the evidence. I pulled out my phone and hit a number I'd saved days ago. The first set of materials, release them. Understood, came the reply. On the other end was the top-tier private investigator I'd hired for a small fortune, all for this very moment, a performance for the entire school to witness. Vivian's composure wavered. I could see the way her confidence drained. Ethan, what the hell are you trying to pull? I didn't bother answering her. The next second, the crowd detonated. Holy! Vivian's in bed with 3 guys? Wait, aren't those 3 Ethan's own roommates? What the hell is going on? Don't tell me she was cheating on him with all 3? The murmurs turned into a roar as Vivian and my 3 brothers scrambled to check the school forum. When their eyes landed on the leaked photos, images of the 4 of them tangled up together on the same bed, their faces went bone white. Fuck. Colin spat the curse like venom, whipping his head toward me. Gone was the fake brotherly warmth, his expression was pure malice. Where the hell did you get those photos? He hissed. The sight of him so rattled sent a quiet thrill through me. With a faint smile, I asked, next, are you going to tell everyone these are fake? That I doctored them myself? That's right. Before he could finish, I cut him off. No problem. Technology's pretty advanced these days, and our computer science department is one of the best in the country. We can run a forensic check on these images right here, right now. Colin's mouth shut with an audible click. His face was a storm, shifting from pale to dark in seconds. Vivian was the first to crack. Ethan, it's not what you think, she cried, voice pitching higher. They put something in my drink that night. The 3 of them, her fingers shook as she pointed at Colin, Brandon, and Trevor, they forced themselves on me. I'm a victim too. A fresh wave of gasps rolled through the crowd. Colin and the others practically jumped out of their skins, looking ready to tear her apart on the spot. Bullshit. Colin roared. You've always been a shameless slut, hungry for it all the time. You wanted it, you begged for it, so we played along. I did not. Vivian shrieked. You used disgusting, underhanded tricks to take advantage of me. The fight between them spiraled fast, both sides clawing at the other, neither holding back. The crowd stood in silence now, captivated, watching the drama unfold like a live-action soap opera. After a moment, I brought my hands together in a slow, deliberate clap. Well, Colin, I said evenly, since this cheap woman is trying to save herself by accusing you of drugging her, why don't you all go ahead and tell everyone the real reason you're in bed together? The way you blackmailed her with those photos, forced her to play the gold digger, and split the money you scammed from your marks. All 4 froze, their faces blanching again. Brandon's knees buckled, trembling so hard he could barely keep his balance. The crowd stirred, this was clearly about to get even messier. Colin's jaw tightened, he wiped a bead of sweat from his forehead and forced a sneer. I don't know what you're talking about. He was still holding his nerve, smart enough to know there was no hard proof of the alleged drugging, and without evidence, the law would leave them alone. But if they confessed to extortion and fraud? That would mean prison. Still going to play dumb? I asked softly. In that case, I'll just keep showing everyone the evidence. With a flick of my thumb, I sent a single message to the investigator. Second file. Release it. Within moments, the school forum lit up with a new upload, a video this time. On screen, Vivian lay in bed with Colin, Brandon, and Trevor, tangled under the same blanket, her gaze sultry as she whispered between giggles. You 3 are amazing, finally, I'm satisfied. We should meet up again in a few days. No problem, Colin's voice drawled. But from now on, you've got to help us with something. Help you? With what? Be our gold digger. Bleed some rich suckers for cash. We'll help set up the marks, and everything we get, we split 50-50. Vivian froze, immediately shaking her head. That's too risky. I'm not doing it. Oh, you don't get a choice, Trevor cut in, his tone darkening. We've got video of just now, our little fun together. If you don't play along, we'll make it public. Our reputations don't matter. But you? You're the campus beauty. Imagine that crown slipping, your name dragged through the mud. Forget marrying into a rich family, you'd be finished. You. Vivian hissed. You're despicable. Call it what you want, Brandon said, smirking. You in or not? Her expression shifted, anger, fear, calculation, until finally, she gave a tiny nod. The footage ended, and the entire field erupted in a storm of jeers and curses. The truth was now laid bare, Colin and his friends hadn't drugged Vivian. She'd joined them willingly. And my claim, that she'd conspired with them to scam money as a professional gold digger, was undeniable. Vivian sat on the ground, her legs useless beneath her, eyes glazed with shock. Colin, still clinging to bravado, snarled, even if the video's real, it doesn't prove anything. Yeah. Trevor chimed in. We were just joking around, nobody can do anything about it. I tilted my head, letting the silence stretch before answering, voice low and cold. Is that so? I let the silence hang for a beat, then laughed, low and cold, until I saw the unease settle in their eyes. Only then did I signal the investigator to release the third set of evidence. The audio and video rolled on the school forum, crystal clear. Ethan's a total idiot. Confirmed, he's just some moron blinded by a woman. Dropped $1.88 million without blinking, and called it a loan to Vivian. I'm dying here. At first, I thought maybe he was trying to make her touched so he could sleep with her that night. Turns out, he didn't even try to get her to a hotel, just sent her back to her dorm, playing the gentleman. Can't breathe, I'm laughing so hard. Gentlemen are great, gentlemen's money is the easiest to steal. Call Vivian, tell her to keep working him. Daily allowance, shopping trips, designer bags, the whole package. Then Vivian's voice cut in, dripping with glee. Gentlemen, your roommate is the dumbest man alive. All I did was make one little move, and that idiot wired me $100,000 in pocket money. Split it 50-50. The footage, captured by the pinhole cameras I'd hidden in our dorm, left nothing to the imagination. Every scheming smirk, every filthy word, was laid bare for the entire school to see. Gasps turned to outrage. Shameless. Absolutely shameless. 3 scumbags teaming up with a gold-digging campus queen, who could defend themselves against that? This is fraud, financial and emotional, at the highest level. Call the cops. Lock them up and throw away the key. In the storm of condemnation, even Colin, usually the quickest to twist the narrative, stood speechless, cold sweat dripping from his brow. Vivian finally cracked, the fear plain in her eyes. She dropped to her knees in front of me, clutching at my leg as if it were a lifeline. Ethan, I truly love you. Please, for the sake of that love, let me go, please. Love? I shook my head, my voice edged with contempt. Don't insult the word. Go ahead, ask the entire school if they believe you. When begging failed, her face twisted, her tone turning cold. That money? It was all spent while we were dating. You can forget about getting any of it back. I laughed, low and sharp. Vivian, you're still as naive as ever. Did you forget? Every cent, whether it was the $1.88 million, the $100,000 in pocket money, or the bags I bought you, was borrowed. And borrowed money gets paid back, with interest. Her complexion drained. She opened her mouth to argue again, but I was already pulling a recorder from my pocket. Every time you took a loan from me, I recorded it. I've saved all the chat logs too. All of it will serve as evidence. No sooner had I spoken than the sharp wail of sirens cut through the air. A squad of officers swept onto the field, moving fast to secure Vivian and my 3 ex-roommates. Multiple reports have accused you 4 of large-scale fraud, one officer announced. Given the sums involved, you will come with us to assist in the investigation. Those reports had come from every other victim Vivian had fleeced, and I'd made sure they were filed. The four of them were dragged away, shouting and struggling, their protests drowned out by the murmurs and stares of the entire school. And then, all eyes shifted to me and Lila. There was a beat of quiet, then the chanting began. Kiss. 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 Lila's cheeks turned crimson, but when I leaned toward her, she surprised me with a bold, warm response of her own. Applause exploded around us, rolling like thunder. In that moment, under the roar of the crowd, we had the school's blessing. A few days later, most of the money I had lent to Vivian was recovered. The other poor fools she'd conned weren't so lucky, most of what they'd lost had already been squandered by Vivian, Colin, and the rest of their crew, and was beyond retrieval. The court handed down a heavy sentence, 10 years in prison. That would be the next chapter of their lives. After graduation, I married Lila, just as I'd hoped. On our wedding night, I asked her the question I'd been carrying for so long. Why were you always so kind to me? She smiled softly. Do you remember the time you saw a girl in a restaurant who only ordered soup and bread? You told her it wasn't enough nutrition, and then you bought her a full, hearty meal? From that moment, you left a mark on her heart she could never forget. Understanding dawned in me all at once. To this day, I remain grateful for that one, simple act of kindness, because it led me to the greatest gift I could have hoped for, a perfect love.